Yo, what is going on, guys? Flashverse here, and welcome back to another video on The Fly Season 8. And for today's video, I'll be going over an article by TV Line, who has recently done an interview with Grant Gustin, who obviously plays Barry Allen himself, aka The Flash. And yeah, he had a couple of interesting things to say about the first 5 episodes of The Fly Season 8. And some of the things he says are really interesting and does really get me excited for the first 5 episodes of The Fly Season 8. So yeah, I'll be doing the usual. I'll be reading over the questions which TV Line asks, and then I'll be reading over Grant Gustin's answers for those questions, and I'll be giving you guys my overall thoughts on it and obviously break everything down. But before I go over anything, however, you guys don't forget to drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel so you are aware of more Arrowverse content coming your way. Okay, so going over the article, or the interview might I say. So TV Line asks, how is life for Barry when Season 8 opens? And Grant Gustin replies, life is good. The kids, Nora and Bart, have all gone back to the future, to 2049. And our theme when we pick up is that we've all leveled up. So we're seeing this version of Barry that I've hoped for a while now. He's feeling a little more confident. He's really coming into his role as a leader. He still depends on the team, but is taking on a leadership role more than we've seen in the past. Barry and Iris are in a good place. Life is good, which feels like the start of the season. And as we all know, it will probably get flipped on its head pretty quickly. So yeah, one thing we have all been wondering about The Fly Season 8 is what's going to be happening with the kids, because they were not announced for Armageddon and they are returning for episode 6. So we're like, wait, what is going on with the kids? And also for the end of The Fly Season 7, they were still in present day because there was no cliffhanger or anything like that, and there was no ending where we sent the kids back to the future. But what it looks like we're getting is that we're getting some sort of a time jump when the season picks up, which explains why Nora and Bart are no longer in present day. I do also like how we hear Grant say that Barry is feeling more confident and takes up that more leadership role due to the speed boost which he's had. This is really exciting because he's going to be a more confident and a more powerful leader than we've ever seen him in the past. So I am really looking forward to how that is. And hopefully they don't do this for like a one episode thing. Hopefully this is a recurring thing throughout the season and they do actually like keep Barry in this more greater leadership role than he's previously ever been, because it would be really annoying if they just do this for a couple of episodes and then they begin to downplay him again. It's going to be really frustrating and it's going to annoy the fans a lot, so hopefully they don't do that. Now, Grant Gustin does say that Barry does still rely on the team, and that is understandable because we do still need to get Team Flash involved in some way, but it will be interesting to see the extent of how much of a leadership role this version of Barry is getting compared to the previous seasons. But the next question is there any indication that Barry and Iris are still quote unquote trying to start a family? And Grant Gustin replies, yes, subtly, yes. Quickly, there's too much going on to touch on that on a regular basis, but in the premiere, it's still a theme, it's acknowledged. Now, the next question is, how do we get the first whiff that Armageddon is coming? In which Grant Gustin replies, we're dealing with the Royal Flush Gang, who first appeared on The Flash in Season 1, I believe. They've also kind of leveled up, but Barry is handling them pretty easily. Then, towards the very end of the episode, Despero shows up for the first time and essentially says that Barry is going to be the cause of the Armageddon to come. Barry first of all is in disbelief and tries to tell Despero that this is not possible, but there's enough evidence that Despero gives to Barry to leave him pretty concerned that this future is something that might end up happening. Now, this is pretty interesting. Firstly, we do have the return of the Royal Flush Gang, who will be there for the Season 8 premiere, and last we saw of them was Season 1 Episode 11 of The Flash, and they did appear sometime during Arrow as well. I think it was Arrow Season 1 Episode 6. But from what we are seeing over here, Despero does not arrive right away. The villains of the week, or like the villain for the premiere, is going to be the Royal Flush Gang, but Despero pops up near the end of Episode 1, where we do obviously see Barry and Ray team up together to face off against him. But this is essentially establishing the Armageddon to come, and I cannot wait to see how they handle it. I do also love how Despero puts this burden on Barry in regards to Barry being the cause of the Armageddon and something has to happen to him, in which from the trailer we did hear Despero say, you have 7 days. So that is pretty exciting. We do obviously find out from Grant Gustin that Barry is going to be in denial of this. So it's kind of like those moments where the villain puts something on the character, and then the character is in denial, and they're going to try and face that. So, for example, I know the Monitor wasn't a villain, but for Arrow season 8, the Monitor tells Oliver Queen that he's going to die, but Oliver is in denial of that, and he's trying to fight that fate for so long, and eventually fails. So this is essentially going to be the same concept, I'm guessing, where obviously Despero tells Barry that he's the cause of the Armageddon to come, and then Barry's denying that. He's like, no, I'm not going to be the cause of what's to come, and he's gonna try and stop it. That's what I think is going to be happening. But in regards to Barry being the cause of the Armageddon to come, is this because Barry ends up going rogue and becomes a villain in the future, or like a version of the future ends up becoming like that, as we can infer from the synopsis for episode 2, where something happens which causes Barry's mind to go crazy? I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me right now, but that would be pretty interesting to see. But then we do know that Despero is going to provide evidence to Barry about the fact that he's going to be the cause of the Armageddon. So it's going to be really intense. I am very excited for it. But the next question goes as followed. What kind of alien is the awesome Tony Curran giving us? Is he the Regal? Is he a smartass? Is he a badass? And Grant Gustin replies, Tony is everything. Man, I had so much fun working with him. It's cool because we're going to see a human side of Despero and an alien side. I haven't seen what the final product is going to look like because I was working with a human with dots on his face at times, but Tony's performance is awesome. He's badass, but he's one of those villains where you understand where he's coming from, because it's all grounded in the truth for him. Okay, so over here, I am very excited to see Despero's motivations. It does look like he has arrived to essentially eliminate the Flash to prevent Armageddon from happening, and that's what I'm guessing is going to be his motivation. But we do also know a portion of his origin story where he has been banished from his planet and he's been sent to Earth. But yeah, it will be pretty cool to see what type of a villain Tony Curran brings to existence with Despero. From the snippets we've seen of him in the trailer, he does look really threatening and he does look pretty badass, and I cannot wait to see him when we actually get to the premiere and the other episodes to come with his character. And obviously Despero is a crossover level threat, so this guy is no joke. He's going to be one of the most powerful villains we've seen on the show, saying that we're gonna need the help of all these different heroes to stop Despero. He's going to be really threatening, he's going to be really powerful, and it's just going to raise the stakes, which does make me very excited. We did also know that Despero was going to be arriving in CGI form and in a human form, and the reason why they're giving him a human form is because of the fact of their budget, I'm guessing, because it's going to be really expensive to have a CGI version of Despero for all 5 episodes for all of his scenes. So it is understandable that he's going to be having a human form as well. And personally, I don't really mind that because Tony Curran looks great in the human form of Despero as well. But we do know that for episode 1, he will be in a CGI form at least for a while, during that battle sequence with the Atom and obviously with him teaming up with the Flash to face off against Despero. So I cannot wait to see what that looks like. Now the next question is, what I've been trying to figure out ever since this event and the casting was announced is, what skin do Damien Darhk and Eobard have in the game? And Grant Gustin replies, well, we're going to see a couple of different timelines, I guess you could say. It's cool. It's a bit of an alternate reality that we're going to be in. That was another thing. I had a blast working with Neil McDonough and Tom Cavanagh. I had never worked with Neil before, and their parts in our storyline are integral and pretty cool. So yeah, we did obviously know that time travel is going to be a very integral part of Armageddon, because the whole premise of it is to explore possible futures of different characters in the DC universe. That's how it is in the comics. So in the case of The Flash, it will be exploring the possible futures of characters in the Arrowverse, and mostly it will be centered around The Flash since this is his storyline. And it does look like we're heading over to different timelines, which is how we see Damien Darhk and Reverse Flash come into play. Because for Damien Darhk, we did know that he died in Legends of Tomorrow Season 5, so we were questioning how he would return. Here's the answer to that. But yeah, I cannot wait to see Damien Dark and Reverse Flash on the screen once again. It's going to be really exciting. And I do really like how they are essentially reforming the Legion of Doom in a way with the return of those two characters as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing those two characters on the screen once again. But the next question is, I keep referring to this as a team up event, but it's more like a progressive dinner. One week Barry visits Black Lightning, and then the next week he visits somebody else. And then Grant Gustin replies, no, we see Ray Palmer first, which is fun because it's just two old friends catching up for a while, until Despero shows up. But then Ray has to leave, and as we start to see other characters throughout the Armageddon event, it's actually more like a true crossover at times. It's not just standalones. We're going to see a lot of different characters in the same episodes, in the same scenes at the same time. So yeah, it was kind of expected that some characters will only be there for one-offs and others will be there for more than just one episode. It does look like Ray Palmer will be only guest starring for episode 1, and then same for Jefferson Pierce, he will be the only guest star for episode 2. And then when we go on to episode 3, 4, and 5, we could end up getting characters like Mia Queen, Alex Danvers, Ryan Choi, and Batwoman all on the same scene. So that's what they're kind of playing with in Armageddon. But then the next question is, will we spend more time in the Hall of Justice? And then Grant Gustin replies, we will, yes. That's where Barry and Jefferson, aka Black Lightning, meet for the first time in the 5-part event. So we did obviously see the Hall of Justice multiple times in the trailer, but it seems like the first time we're actually going to see it is for episode 2, which is the episode Black Lightning makes a return in. But I believe this is the last question, but moving on to the next question. Being 5 episodes of your own show, did this end up being more manageable for you than the traditional grueling annual crossover event? And Grant replies, yes and no. I would say that for production, this was a lot easier to make happen on paper because it wasn't balancing 5 shows' schedules and figuring out how to get all these different actors on different shows. I'm sure it was harder on people like Javicia Leslie, who's obviously Batwoman, who have full schedules on their own shows and they're coming over to guest star on a different show. I've been there, so I know. So for me, it was easier since everybody was coming to us. But also, I missed the first 2 weeks of filming because we just had our baby. And then my schedule was jam-packed for about 6 weeks. It was kind of the most challenging stretch of Flash I've ever had since season 1 as far as the scheduling was concerned. But it was cool. It definitely felt like a crossover event, but it all took place at home for us. So yeah, since this is a storyline centered around the Flash, obviously it was going to be the fact that the other guest stars would be showing up on the Flash. Now, filming wise, it would still take like the same amount of time as it does with normal crossovers, so it does take twice the time to film than regular episodes. So filming wise, it would still be jam-packed, as Grant Gustin did say, and then normal episodes would take less of an amount of time because you wouldn't have these other characters and you wouldn't have these bigger stories which you want to tell. But since this whole crossover is going to heavily involve Barry, that's why I'm thinking that episode 6 is going to be one of those episodes where they give Grant Gustin a break, saying that Armageddon has been a jam-packed schedule for him, so he's going to be entitled for a break. So I would say that we're going to have very minimal amounts of Barry for episodes 6 and 7, which I'm guessing is going to be Interlude Part 2. But obviously for episode 6, we do know that Nora, Bart, and Garrick are returning for that episode, and we do obviously have Eddie Thawne as well. For episode 7, we don't know what's going on with that, but could we end up seeing Barry for that? I don't know, but I definitely wouldn't expect seeing a lot of Barry for episode 6. But yeah guys, thanks for watching. If you guys have enjoyed the video, please give a like and subscribe. Be sure to tell me in the comment section down below what you guys are most looking forward to for Armageddon. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video.